Hello, and welcome to this episode of Not Just Ghost Stories. I'm your host, Josh, joined by Jackie and Laura. Today, we're going to talk about a religious retreat that we're not going to say where it's at, but Laura, you have some history on it.
Some history with a lot of redactions. Okay, so the location is part of a Holy Spirit Center. So you can kind of see why we're not going to put labels on it. So there was a visionary that heard a lady's voice that she identified as Mother Mary. The first vision, she was told to go to the church and pray. Sometime later down the road, a friend invited this visionary to her farm. While at the farm, she had another communication with Mary, asking her to build a grotto and bring more people to pray with her. Over time, there were 22 visions, which included instructions to also build a chapel, a 12-step outdoor stations of the Holy Cross. One vision included that special waters would be forthcoming near the chapel. This water was to bring spiritual and physical healing.
Okay. So, obviously, we're doing this because we got some weird stuff there. And what I mean weird, Jackie and Laura, you guys went a couple of times. I was only able to go one time. But Jackie, do you want to describe what we first saw when we got there?
Okay, but first I'd like to clarify for everybody. 12 steps has nothing to do with drinking.
Okay.
Who knew that?
All right. Yeah.
Basically, it's like a farm. They've kept everything. They do have a paved kind of road there and stuff. And the rest of it's all open fields and woods and everything. There's cows in one pasture and horses in another pasture. So it's very pastoral and very peaceful. I got to say, the first time I went there, and it was just me, I went to where there's a little grassy knoll, and there's 3 crosses, and of course, there's a representation of Jesus on the cross. Behind him is this really nice pastoral scene, and in the middle of that, as I was walking through there's a dead bird.
Yeah, which is kind of weird. No, to me, pulling up and seeing, because that's kind of one of the very first things you run into when you pull off is, I mean, it's a rather large cross with Jesus up on it, and as you're walking around, that's where you get to the 12 steps.
Nothing to do with drinking.
Nothing to do with drinking. Representing the path that Jesus took to crucifixion on that end. I have a hard time saying that word.
Yeah, and they're like, to me, they look like bird boxes.
Yeah.
That have like a scene in them.
Yeah. So, that was kind of one of the very first places where we just kind of stopped off. There's a pathway that leads down a hill, and it's got a bunch of down trees where, you can tell they've cut trees and limbs and stuff out, that you can walk down this hill. And down at the bottom, there's like a little creek running down that bottom there.
I think that trail does loop around the property and come back where the church is.
Yes. It goes all the way back up the other side. I made it all the way down to the bottom. I'm like, I'm not climbing that hill on that side again because it's actually rather steep.
It is steep, and where I don't know if it's from cutting trees or what, there are kinds of twigs that are, about yay round, and you almost like roll down the hill. There's so many of them that there's really no way to get attraction. You just have to keep moving.
Yeah.
And also the woods are, the first time I went there, got out of the car, my back was to the woods, and I thought the sounds coming out of the woods, I thought there were going to be 2 like gators, the kind you drive, not the kind that run along the ground and live in swamps.
Of course, yeah.
That would be coming out of there, and I thought, oh my God, am I trespassing? Is there somebody going to come? They sounded angry, and they sound like there's a whole bunch of people coming.
Yeah.
Nothing ever manifested, but you just got that feeling of don't go in the woods.
Well, I did go down that one path, all the way down to that little creek, and it's not a very big creek. I went all the way down, and as I'm walking further and further down this slope trail, I just kept getting this sense that I was getting pushed, like I shouldn't be walking down that way. Like something didn't want me going down there, and the push wasn't anything good. You know, is kind of the way I was feeling. I'm like, I did have a recorder on me. I was stopping asking questions. I didn't get anything off of those EVPs, but the sense of feeling was almost I shouldn't be there. I shouldn't be down inside of these woods doing anything whatsoever. Did I feel it on a religious stance? No, I felt it was the exact opposite was what I was feeling. So, I mean, I know Laura, you walked somewhat down those.
Yeah, more curiosity than anything. It's almost like it wants you to come, but maybe some sort of self-preservation tells you not to do it. It's it's not a place that in the woods I would walk by myself. And it wouldn't be because I was afraid of meeting, you know, a human.
Yeah. Jackie, what do you think?
Uh,
Because
I,
I know you went somewhat down into
I
that
did.
trail back
I
back
did,
out.
and there were two reasons why I stopped. It was weird. It was like take two steps and you're good. And that third step, you'd step on a spot where it's like, I don't like it here. And it was almost like somebody had put stepping stones there, invisible stepping stones. And when you stepped on that stone, you knew that you weren't welcome there. Also, as you're going down that hill, to the left of me, I felt drawn over there. And I did cut through the woods and go over there. And it angled back up to where the grass was and stuff. But I came across this circle of trees. And it just wasn't a pleasant feeling circle. I kept getting the sense of snakes. There's going to be snakes everywhere. And what that tells me, when I get the sense of snakes, it tells me that there is danger lurking there.
Yeah. Well, you know, as for me, something was following me in the woods. Now, during this time, if you've listened to any of our other podcasts, you're going to find out there was strange things going on with me and Jackie and Laura. Any of our priors. Almost made me wonder, maybe at one point it was some type of Indian territory. Uh, but like something was following me, but it wasn't the sense of Indians that I was getting when I was walking down that.
Can I ask, was it a sense of Indians or more of like ancient history?
I didn't even really feel ancient history there either. The what I kind of felt was something that shouldn't be there and is there. You know what I'm saying? And when like I ended up coming out of that trail and then going back to where they have that big, you know, the crosses, I guess you can say. I felt like there was laughing in the back of my head. Like something was laughing like they're doing what I'm telling them to do is the kind of laughing I was getting. Like it was very evil laughter. I don't want to say evil, but like, yeah, you know, I'm in control here.
Like
So
powerful?
yeah, I wasn't really getting anything Indian based. That's where I felt like when we were at Big Bone, and I was walking that trail, things were pushing and prodding at me, trying to get me to, you know, do something stupid. Um, but that wasn't what I was getting there. I was just like they were tracking me in the woods, like, you know, trying to make me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I just asked because my feeling there was I wouldn't have been surprised if I saw a dinosaur. It was something ancient beyond the Indians, even before the Indians, I should say, that this had been here a long, long time.
Yeah. I mean, Laura, did you feel
Um, so my feelings is that yes, it's old. It's old. It's not human. Doesn't necessarily mean it's evil, but it's an entity not from here. But my biggest thing takeaway from there was is I felt when people offered their prayers, even though they were doing it to their God, somehow I believe that entity is using that as power.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's many parts. There's actually really only 3 pull off sections in this area. The first one being, the 12 steps, and that's not alcohol related.
Thank you.
um, and the crucifix that's up there. Um, but then there's a grotto in the middle, uh, and then there's a church at the end. Um, I guess we'll go to the grotto in the middle. You guys want to tell me what kind of feelings you had from there?
Yeah, let me wrap this up for you. Holy shit. It was it's like you found the power source and it pulsates and as you walk around the grotto you can get kind of pinpoint it. So it's like this is really terrible here, not so terrible here and stuff. So and as you start looking at the grotto, little things really stand out to you.
In doing the history, I'll also say that when they built the things like the grotto and the chapel, Mother Mary was also specific to the visionary that the supplies be used from what was already there. So this grotto is made from rocks that I'm assuming probably came from down at that creek. That's what they look like. Um, the chapel itself was built using wood from the owned barn. Now I just don't. To me, that leads toward some something that doesn't make sense with Christianity. Like, I don't know, that specific on, it has to be this and what was already here. I it just lays wrong.
No, I agree. I mean, let's think back to our past and how things were raised. I was raised in a non-denominational Christian and Baptist. Laura, you were raised Southern Baptist. Jackie, I don't know exactly. Did you have a religion that you were
Uh,
based on growing up?
my mother was Catholic, but my dad was Lutheran. My dad did not believe in religion, but he did believe in a God. So there was always the Christian God, but we never went to church. And
Now, growing up, I've never seen anything like, there's church camps and things like that, but I've never seen or felt anything like this before. Have you guys? Like, it's some type of retreat where it has, the death of Christ, and it has this and it has that, at different things. Have you ever seen anything like this?
No.
no, but growing up, I did go. I did go to church, and yeah, I'm going to hell and stuff. I started going to this church because there was this really cute guy there. So I did go on a religious retreat with some of the church people. They were in my class and everything. And this was all about this really cute guy. Had nothing really to do with religion and stuff. But anyway, the retreat I went to was for kids. So it was geared towards kids. You know, you sang songs, you played games. You didn't do 12 steps.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't drink, and you didn't have God hanging up there on a or I'm sorry, Jesus hanging up there on a cross or anything. It was more geared towards kids, nature and you know, Bible reading and stuff like that,
Hmm.
or just kind of watching this really cute guy if you were me. So
So, I mean, but with a church being built out of stuff that was already on the property.
no, like this one retreat I went to, there was no church there. It was like summer camp.
Yeah.
And most things that are done where their supplies are reused was more of out of necessity. Um, for the timeline all this happened, that was not the case.
Yeah.
These materials were readily available.
Was there a year that this? Because wasn't it in the
And it was
90s?
in the
1990.
1990s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, 1990 to 1993 is when all of this was kind of really taking
So
place.
we had concrete and steel and stuff like that.
Yeah. And the order for them to reuse some of the stuff that they found on property kind of makes me wonder what was on the property before, other than a farm. Obviously we're talking about some type of farmland. What was on that property before? And that's something that we can't find in history without going through land deeds and everything else, right?
And even then, can we find it? When Laura and I went, I was drawn as we got to the church. I was drawn to a field. We both were drawn to the field past the church in the woods there. And what was drawing me was because it felt just like Hinsdale. And Hinsdale was not a good feeling. Hinsdale, you knew that you were going into something you really shouldn't be getting into. And that same energy type was there.
And we didn't actually go in the woods on that side.
No,
We chose not to do that. We got close. We took, pictures of the woods, but we did not
we
we
stepped,
did not get in them. No.
we stepped through the first set of trees because that's where Laura was looking to my right and I was to my left, and my eyes were drawn to the right. And this is summer and it is hot out, but we're kind of the only people there. And when I looked to the right, I assumed it looked like Charles Manson, only he was barefoot in a robe. And that's when I realized that actually Charles Manson looked a lot like Jesus. So I think I was seeing a vision of Jesus, kind of getting the feeling, come on in so I can talk to you. And yet, underlying that feeling is, don't believe him. Don't go anywhere near him. And I believe I turned to Laura and I said, I think we need to back out.
Yeah, and there was one part of the woods that my eyes were drew to. I never saw anything, but it's just one of those things you go to the same spot. And I probably took 100 pictures of that area, and on all of that, I even had Josh blow it up. We never saw anything.
Mm-hmm. Now, when the three of us, when you two went, you guys were actually able to go inside the chapel.
No, the chapel was closed. We
Well-
went around the chapel. The windows, I know what you're talking about. The chapel has,
Well, I have some pictures that Laura took that
Yeah.
looked like they were inside the chapel, though.
because the back of the chapel is nothing but windows. So we stood there and took pictures inside. And also the door is a glass door. And we took pictures inside.
Okay.
And if you're talking about the windows, they built this
No.
chapel and it has, I don't know, like 5 or 6 windows down both sides. And at first glance, I'm looking at the pictures and it looks like religious scenes. But the more I looked at them, the more they were off. There was one of, I assume, Mary offering her baby to be blessed or something like that. But instead of cradling the baby in her hands, she's like got her hands thrust flat out and like has a baby resting on her hands. It's like how you would offer something for a sacrifice as opposed to offering something for a blessing.
Well, the one thing that when I ended up going that struck me odd about this chapel is they're not stained glass.
No.
They're
Mm-mm.
etched glass and etched in black and white.
It's not. I've never seen it done in any other church this way.
But that time when I was there with the two of you,
They were boarded up or some. They didn't.
we could not see the pictures on the windows.
Yeah, I don't remember what
There
the.
were, because I went looking for them because I wanted to point them out to you
Mm-hmm.
and stuff because I had pointed them out to Laura. Tell me, is this me? Because they're all just off. There's a picture of Jesus with a halo, but the halo's so down low, it doesn't look like a halo anymore. It looks like
Well,
a band.
I'm going to say it's not just you because there is a couple pictures. Now it's pictures of a window taken through a window, so there's some reflection. However, you can still get the gist of what everything looks like. And showing them to, my youngest boy, he's looking at him going, something's not right with these, because there's one of it's Mary surrounded by I didn't count how many people, but surrounded by people, but she's not, preaching, she's got one hand out like she's trying to push them away, and another hand on like somebody's head like she is pushing them away.
Yeah, it's odd scenes.
And that's where I was like, okay. And then there's another one, and I can't exactly tell. One you can kind of make out. It honestly does kind of look like Charles Manson, more so than what you would see as a new representation of Jesus.
Yeah.
It's very, very weird. It has somebody standing next to him, and I can't exactly see who that was on there, but and then it's got like these big pillars standing next to, like in between them, with like a reflection coming off of those pillars. But I'm like, what is going on here? Because it's so different. I've
I'm like,
never seen anything
is
like
so
it.
much of it lost because they're not in color, and somebody is just really not that great of an artist at doing mannerisms.
Well, I mean, I've been in
Yeah, but
other.
no, the mannerisms were perfect.
Yeah,
If
they're just not what
if
you would
you're
expect them to be.
sacrificing your
Yeah,
child and not getting him blessed.
But
yeah.
I've been in, I'm not going to say hundreds, but I've been in a bunch of churches. Okay. It's always, not brightly colored, but stained glass. You have some type of stained glass. You might have regular windows that are frosted, but stained glass. But even in a few of the churches that I've been in, if they have stained glass, they can usually predict, it's showing the passage, the 12 steps all the way around, even the sermons on the mountains and everything else. It's showing all that, and you know what it is just by looking at it. This, I don't know what any of it is.
And it's more sadness.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen Jesus in stained glass and stuff. He's got tears, and you feel kind of sad, and you feel like, wow, he had a heavy burden to bear and stuff like that. Those windows, you felt like that was Charles Manson, not Jesus.
So which is now going to the actual property as a whole. How do you guys feel about that?
Well, okay. I'll dive in. So, the actual property as a whole is very good at what it was intended for. It is intended to bring people there to worship. You get a group of people there, you worship. To me, you're opening a portal, and you are putting all your power up into the air. And that power is feeding what is there. The problem is, in my point of view, it is not a Christian God that it's feeding. It is feeding that thing in the woods.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this: the visionary that they talk about in the history. What do you think the visions were? Do you think it was this thing feeding the vision in order to say, "Come down here and build, so I have something"?
Yes. This thing has been here forever, and it's learning. When we went there the last time, all three of us, I remember sitting there, and I could feel it off in the woods, and it was watching us.
Yeah.
And I pretty much turned to it and said, you know what? I'm not interfering here. This isn't my place to interfere. Could the land be reclaimed? Yes, I think it could. It would take a hell of a lot of people, a hell of a lot of positive energy. Could it be reclaimed? Yes. But that thing isn't hurting me. I know what it is. I said, I'm okay with you. So.
I mean, let's get the psychic thoughts on it.
I don't know. I also have a personal dilemma with it. For Christianity, people pour their whole lives into that, and so I'm almost like angry for them because that it's terrible that this entity or whatever we want to call it has done. It's not good because I have known people that go there based on their faith, and they're truly good people. So I hate that there is something out there that is able to twist that and they don't even realize it. But I'm with Jackie. I know it's there. And if I was going to pray, I would not go there to pray.
Okay.
That's not where I would offer it up.
I get the same feeling. Something there is wanting to feed on religion, based stuff is the way I'm kind of getting at this.
Is it religion based, or is that just
The faith based.
the? It's the power. It's the people absolutely believe that they have faith, and they're strong in their faith, and it's power. And we kind of had this discussion with the agents of chaos when I asked them why not feed upon love? Why do you feed upon chaos? And they just kind of laughed at me. Chaos is a lot easier to get.
Okay. Well, with that being said, all right. What it is, I know, Agents of Chaos on Monroe. Go back and listen to it. It's very interesting. Agents of Chaos on Monroe. What is this thing trying to feed on then? Is it trying to feed on the fear? Is it trying to feed on the faith? Is it trying to just feed on whatever energy it can get?
I think it's power. It's yeah. So energy is power to it.
Okay. But I mean, obviously, Agents of Chaos, it's because of chaos. What type of power is this one getting?
It you were right in what you're saying. Is it feeding upon the religion? Yes, because that to me, you have the least amount of energy putting out to get a lot of energy back.
Okay.
I will say, from a spiritual point of view, there's a heavenly battle going on there. I mean, if you believe in negative spirits, you believe in positive spirits. I believe they're, i.e., angels. So I believe that's going on in some dimension as well. But it's I don't know if it came too late or if it's just not enough or it's a mess. That's chaos. That's what it is created. It is chaos.
In a way, it's kind of like the Anunnakian. I don't understand why an older god can be trapped somewhere, and yet he is, and he's bound by rules. And
Spiritual warfare. I mean,
and work talking with that god at Hinsdale. I don't understand his concept either. So I don't get involved with the gods because they confuse me.
but psychically, both times we were there, I ended up with a headache.
Yes, and that one time you were channeling it a little too much because I do remember you and me. I said, "Come on, we got to go because now you're scaring me."
Yeah, you said my face was like really red,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Well, I'm just going to bring up a theory. Do you think that this could be Indian related God?
No, it's before the
Something different?
Indians.
Okay.
I mean, I think it was there during the Indians. Were they affected by it? They didn't write things down, so we don't know.
And they'd almost have to because it's so entwined with the land, and they had a lot of land-based gods or whatever they call them and things.
So they may have been protected because they understood it. Were a little more open to what the possibilities were.
Or they just kept away from that section.
That's true too, because there was places like, oh, that's okay here. Oh, one step to the left. Oh, maybe those were the stepping stones you were using.
Well, I mean, what I'm interested in is coming up because I will tell you that reading into it, they're actually going to be doing improvements on the place. As far as down the chapel, they're upgrading bathrooms that they have for public use. They're going to be upgrading a bunch of different things throughout the property. So, do you think that there's possibly something that could be happening just based off of upgrades that they were planning on doing?
I guess it depends. Are they going to get rid of that tree? That thorn tree is the weirdest thing. Why would you
No,
revere that tree?
I think that they're keeping that tree
Yeah.
in, and they're using it for whatever religious based practice that they're using it for. I don't get it myself because I'm like, it's different, and when we're talking about this tree, it's a large,
Got thorns is big on it.
it's a large locust, and it is completely covered in these thorns. I mean, huge thorns coming off of the trunk of the tree from the base all the way to the top
You're
of
gonna
it.
need some stitches.
Yeah, don't get too close to it.
Well,
But
and maybe it's just me. Maybe I shouldn't put this out there because somebody will certify me. When I go by that tree, I have to keep in mind, I just feel like I should fall on it, which would end
You
up
did
probably
mention
killing
that.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, I mean, they have picnic tables and stuff set up around that tree.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't create a whole lot of shade. I will tell you that.
No.
So, but I believe that they're keeping that tree back there. I think there's just more building upgrades. Actually, the grotto's getting some uh, concrete and rock work done on it.
Yeah, I mean there was a lot of fissures in it.
Are
So
they're going to fix her middle fingers? I swear, the Virgin Mary she has her hands out, and it's very, very, you really got to look, but her middle fingers stick a little bit higher than every other finger.
I have to say it's true only because Jackie pointed it out and I looked and it's not something I noticed upon glance, but once pointed out you can't unsee it.
Never in the Bible do I remember Mary giving anybody the finger.
All right. Well, overall thoughts on this place in order to end this podcast. I mean, for me, I'm not comfortable there. I want to go back there.
I think it's going to be even more uncomfortable when they do these upgrades because you're going to have a lot of people that are going to want to go and pray the rosary once it's been fixed, meaning the grotto.
You know what we never mentioned? Somebody wanted to go there for the ceremony. Remember, you said you wanted to go on church day.
Yeah. Yeah, they still have church there. I'd like to go. For one thing, I'd like to learn more about the special water because it never at any
Whenever
point did I find any reference that it was holy water.
Yeah.
So,
And you can take the water home. You just got to bring your own jug.
Yeah.
Is what
Yeah.
it says.
And that is one nice thing about this place. Their bathrooms are open. They're in a separate little building, and they're open 24/7.
Yes. So, I mean, I definitely want to go back. I think that there's something there that is calling for this religious retreat to be there when it shouldn't be. And I'd like to investigate that more. I know that.
And the windows freak me out because when Laura and I were there, I went around to every window and went, "Oh, this is so creepy." And when the three of us went back, those windows were gone.
we spent a lot of time
They were
looking at
gone.
those windows.
That's a lot of windows to replace within a 8-month span.
Yeah, and they're odd shaped too. Like so they come up and they kind of round.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, overall, this place, again, we're not saying the name of it because it's one of those things. It is for the religious people. It's their domain, so we're not telling you where it's at. We're not going to tell you what it is because we don't feel that paranormal researchers should be trampling all over everything in religion base. You know, if you're invited in, it's a different thing. We've done churches. We've done a few different churches. We've talked about some of them here. But we were invited there. This is something that we've gone and kind of done on our own because it's an open public space. If you're going to figure out what we're talking about, the paranormal, something is a little different there. You just got to be respectful, is the way I see it, right?
And who knows? There's probably thousands of people that go there, and I've never heard anybody else go, "Oh, it's creepy as hell there."
Mm-hmm.
So maybe just something about us three doesn't resonate with that place, and maybe this is how we view that place. But for other people, it could be a religious experience.
True.
I believe that people that go there for that reason do experience that. We may be the only ones because I don't know how many other groups have been like, let's go there. I would think to even know about it, you'd have to be from here.
And I should probably tell you why I ended up there. Donna our resident psychic, went there. And she was telling me she got into the church and that wall of windows back there, she said all the time she was in that church, there was a bird that kept launching himself at the windows, trying to get in.
All right, then. So definitely we need to go back.
Yep.
Well, yeah, we haven't died there yet, so come on, let's go back.
All right. So until then, this has been Not Just Ghost Stories. I've been your host, Josh.
Laura?
And Jackie.
And until next time, we're going to post evidence that we have about today's podcast on Facebook, and you can contact us on our website at notjustghoststories.com.